Scottie Barnes is going to be all-star. He's going to be the face of this league. Scottie Barnes is going to be all-star. He's going to be the face of this league. Scottie Barnes.
Yo. Welcome back to Raptors Flex Plus, where you know the flex already, fam. I'm your host, Kyle, and welcome back to another episode 49. Brethren, what up, though? Man? I've been kind of just sitting back, just watching everything that's happening with the Raptors recently. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just doing less talking and more observing, because there's a lot going on this week going into the trade deadline, right? Starting off with the boy, Scottie Barnes, brethren. Yo, congratulations to Scottie Barnes being named as an all-star replacement, yo. Come on, give it up for him, y'all. Big it up. Yeah, man. Listen, y'all. I am on record saying, I don't believe that, a team that was 13 games under 500, now 15 games under 500 deserved an all-star, okay? Now, he got named in as an all-star replacement, and it's deserving based on what we're looking at in totality about how he has performed this year, okay? It's deserving. I'm not going to sit here and say, yo, Scottie Barnes shouldn't be an all-star, this, that, and whatever, right? You heard Darko. He said it from time. He's like, yo, Scottie Barnes is going to be an all-star. He's going to be the face of this league. Yo, dog. In all seriousness, man, the man put in the work in the offseason, and his jump from year 2 to year 3 has just been noticeable, not just by us Raptors fans, but obviously by Commissioner Adam Silver. Because what happens is with the reserves, right? If there's an injury replacement, then Adam Silver gets to choose in terms of who he believes should replace those injured players, right? So Scottie Barnes got chosen and Trae Young got chosen. Two teams that are outside of playing right now. Or I guess the Hawks are number 10, right? Because I guess Brooklyn's been falling back recently. But those two guys, numbers-wise, they've been as good as advertised, right? Now, whether that's translating to winning, which is my point that I always make, right? I feel like you got to be winning games in order to, get the all-star nod. But congratulations to Scottie. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the all-star and Scottie Barnes a little bit later. But you had to start off with that because I haven't been recording recently as I've been sitting back and observing and watching eyes low what's popping with the Raptors. Yo, real talk, though. The Raptors been playing some bad basketball recently, man. Bad basketball, in my opinion, right? Yeah, we beat the Hornets, but, did anybody really like that performance against the Hornets? The Hornets are bad, yo. Miles Bridges went off for 45. I'm like, yo, this dude is going to go for 50 tonight. I'm sitting there watching this thing please, God, no. Please, God, no. Right? And then prior to that, the Pelicans game, I watched the first half. And if you look at episode 48, for those that are following me, thank you, everybody, for following me. Continuing to support the channel any way, shape, or form. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate everybody out there. On episode 48, I'm like, yo, the Raptors just need to be competitive against the Pelicans, man. After the double overtime thing, against the Thunder, that takes a lot out of a team on the back-to-back, okay? And I'm not one to make excuses, but come on, though. You know what I'm saying? If there's ever going to be a time where you're going to make an excuse for a loss, that is literally it, yo. You went into double overtime the night before, and now you got to go come in off the plane and play a rested Charlotte team. Or a rested Pelicans team, my bad. And the Pelicans right now, again, they were fighting for a play-in spot. Or, sorry, a playoff spot, right? They're right on the cusp of it. They may even be sitting in there right now, but I know Phoenix has been stepping their game up recently and Dallas. So, you know, I'm not going to like bury these guys in the sand for the Pelicans performance. And with the Hornets, I felt like this trade deadline thing was just looming over the Raptors, just looming over them, yo. Like, who's going to get traded? Because, yo, bare mans are on the block. Bare mans are on the trading block. You know, like, that has to, like, mess with your mental a little bit. A little bit. Because with this Raptors team, like, fans have been talking about trades from, like, game one of the season, dog. Whether it was Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, Chris Boucher, you know what I'm saying? Dennis Schroder. Like, yo, mans have been talking about trades for the longest. And now you're getting so close to the trade deadline and you're on the road and all this type of stuff. Like, I totally get what's happening with the Raptors right now. But trade deadline has come and trade deadline has passed. And Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster made some moves. They made some moves, yo. And I know as Raptors fans, y'all been paying attention, right? The reason you're tuning in is you may want to hear my take on things, right? Or you may just want to put down in the comments like, yo, Kyle don't know nothing about nothing, dog. Say it. Either way, I'm willing to engage. You know what I'm saying? So tell me whether you like this trade deadline moves or not. I'm going to give y'all my opinion on the deals, okay? So, starting off, Woj dropped a bomb, right? Woj dropped a bomb like he normally does, right? And I guess maybe we saw this one coming, but there was a part of this trade that maybe we didn't see coming. So, the Utah Jazz have traded Canadian, man them from the 6, Kenny Olynk, and guard Ochai Agbaji to the Toronto Raptors for Kyra Lewis, Otto Porter Jr., and a 2024 first-round pick. All right? So that was like the first trade that we saw from Masai and Bobby on trade deadline day. Okay? Yesterday, Thursday. All right? So I like some of it, and then I don't like some of it in terms of like the assets, in terms of what we got in return. You know what I'm saying? So let's start with this, okay? First of all, Kyra Lewis Jr., we don't know what you had going on, dog. Like, respectfully, probably not your fault. He came over in the Pascal Siakam trade as part of a 3-team trade that included the Pelicans, right? But we ain't see nothing from this guy, right? The thought process was, well, maybe he might be like a developmental piece because he was only a couple years into the league and, you know, he had high promising, lots of pros coming out of the draft in terms of his draft profile. And maybe there was a possibility that he might be able to get developed and get some minutes here in Toronto. Didn't work out for him. He's going to the Jazz. I'm not sure what his situation is in terms of development over there, but I don't have any like real connection to this player because we didn't see nothing from him, yo. He was here for a cup of coffee and he dipped out, right? So he's gone. Good on the Raptors for that, okay? Otto Porter Jr., bro, MIA for like 2 seasons. We signed this guy because he thought that he was going to be a veteran, steadying presence off of the bench that can come in, hit some threes, play some defense, make some of those veteran savvy plays that you look for in the veterans, and settle down some of the young guys a little bit, right? A little bit of mentorship stuff, right? Now, I'm not saying that the mentorship stuff didn't happen, but like the stuff on the court did not happen, all right? The couple of games that he played this year and last year, we saw like some flashes in the pan, but really we didn't see nothing from Otto Porter Jr. And from my perspective, he looks like a player that's literally on his last leg, yo. His last leg in the NBA. And it feels to me that he would be better served on a team where, on a contending team where he can just come in, play a few minutes, hit some threes, and just be like a veteran presence on a contending team. Okay? So good for the Raptors for moving on from those two players, okay? Now, in return, we get back Kelly Olynyk, Canadian, big man. Now, how long, if anyone's been following this channel, okay, for those that have been following this channel, whether you're subscribed or not subscribed, but you should subscribe if you're not subscribed. I've been banging on the table since preseason, like, can we get another big? Please, please, right? And like, this was like, not really the type of big that I was looking for, right? Because he kind of reminds me of a way better, what's his name? Jonte Porter, right? He's not really protecting the rim. He can shoot the three from outside, right? Now, I think he's better at putting the ball on the floor. Now, mind you, it's not really a fair comparison because Kelly Olynyk is a veteran in the league. But I'm just talking in terms of skill set, the type of player that maybe Jonte Porter might be able to grow into. I think he's like a more fundamental Kelly Olynyk. Now, Kelly Olynyk knows ball, right? I think his dad was even a coach and stuff like that, if my memory's serving me correctly. He was coached by his dad when they were running AAU and all them things back in the day. I believe so. I could be wrong. However, Kelly Olynyk is just a good veteran guy to have on your team because he knows how to get mucky and he can make like those veteran savvy type plays. And sometimes they're like borderline dirty plays. I don't want to call him a dirty player now, right? He's just kind of a little bit of a throwback in a way where he knows how to mix it up a little bit and get away with a few little pulls and tugs and those types of things. You know, that doesn't make him a dirty player. All right. Now, over the years, he has been accused of being a dirty player, right? Where there were some guys that got injured on his accord. But I think those days are past him, and he's now learned how to be a veteran in the NBA who knows how to mix it up. And he can step outside and hit the three. And I don't mind him putting the ball on the floor. This is a type of guy that is an actual big coming off the bench for the Raptors. An actual big. Because when we had Precious Achiuwa, I always thought he was playing out of position. If anything, he should have been more playing like power forward and not like the center position. Could you see him over with the Knicks now? He's not really playing center. He might be playing center like recently just out of necessity because they have injuries and stuff. But he's really been like doing his thing with like being a power forward. And he's actually flourishing a little bit over there. Although I've watched a few games, I mean, he's still making some of those same turnovers and stuff he was with the Raptors. So like I'm not really missing him like that, right? But I'm still missing the fact that we don't have that athletic big that can protect the rim. And Kelly Olynyk doesn't really give you rim protection. Now, Jakob Poeltl has done a better job protecting the rim recently, right? Over the course of maybe the last month and a half or so. But man, Christian Koloko, I'm really missing that Christian Koloko presence down low. The step that we wanted him to take this year. We didn't get to see it. He got waived based on the OG Anunoby trade. The Raptors opening up the roster spot for Kira Lewis Jr., which we just traded, by the way. But we all know Christian Koloko had like health complications and those types of things. But I would love for the Raptors to get a player like that, right? A guy that can protect the rim and he's athletic and he can play as a force. We're really missing that. But I like the Kelly Olynyk pickup, right? Nothing wrong with that. I think that's a really good pickup. And we'll get into salaries and stuff in just a moment because he is on an expiring contract. So the Raptors will have a decision to make and Kelly Olynyk will have a decision to make. But why wouldn't he want to play at home, Doc? Well, like, yo, stay at home, bro. Stay at home. It's an opportunity now. And you get to play with your brethren, RJ Barrett, right? Because them two came up to the ranks together through Canada national team, right? Like the younger squads now, and now they're both part of the bronze winning team at FIBA that will be going to the Olympics. Big it up, big it up, big it up, big it up, big it up. All right. Now, Ochai Agbaji. All right. Now, this is where things get a little bit dicey because the Raptors actually gave away a first-round pick in this trade, one of the ones that we got from Indiana, which would have came through like OKC or somebody, or I'm not really sure where it came through. I can't remember right now, but basically it's via some other teams, right? And it's like the worst of those ones, etc. Either way, it's a first-round pick. So what the Raptors are telling me is that they believe, now this is just my opinion, okay? What the Raptors are telling me is what I think is they believe, or first of all, I believe that they've done some work on Ochai Agbaji prior to last year's draft. Not the draft of Gradey Dick, the one prior to that, okay? And they believe that this is a player that they can develop and that he has a higher upside than anyone that you're going to draft with the draft pick that we just gave away to the Jazz. That is what they're signaling to me. Obviously, the Raptors are not as high on the 2024 draft as one might think prior, all right? But you're showing us your cards a little bit in terms of where your thought process might be when you make this type of trade, right? Talking about bringing in Ochai Agbaji and sending out a first-round pick. So I also believe Thad Young was part of this trade also. Or no, wait, that's the Dennis trade. But we'll get on that in a second. But at the end of the day, this is a guy that was a part of a winning program at Kansas, same place where Gradey Dick played, and they showed this clip. I'm just going to play a little clip from that just really quickly because, I don't know, why not? This is from the Raptors Twitter, yo.
What was the other place called? What is it, Greg?
Dalano.
Pretty cool. Did you eat it by the
Ooh. Ochai left a note. Appreciate you, Ochai. He said whoever takes over this room be great. That's crazy. Motivation.
Can't help it.
Now they are teammates in Toronto. How about that one, yo? Masai Ujiri is doing some real cooking up, dog. That man's cooking, bro. So, man, you got both of these guys now on the same team. They didn't play together at Kansas, but there's a connection there, right? There's a connection there because they played for the same school. They literally played or stayed in the same dorm room, right? So, this is a flyer, a little bit of a risk, because this is a player that hasn't really shown much in the NBA so far. Like, when I was looking at this guy's stats, right, Ochai Agbaji, we look at it from year 1 to year 2, right? He's pretty much playing the same minutes. Last year, he's at 20.5. This year, he's at 19.7 for the Jazz. But part of the problem is that you're shooting less three-point percentage. You're down there. You're up a little bit in two-point percentage, but you're down in points. You're down in, like, attempts. Like, you're down across the board, right? Last year, he averaged 7.9 points. This year, he averages 5.4. So those aren't any numbers to, like, write home about. Excuse me. Those aren't any numbers to write home about. But in terms of just watching Ochai Agbaji through the NCAA tournament a couple of years ago and just going back and re-looking at some of those highlights and stuff, he's super athletic, okay? The man has an NBA-ready body, right? When you look at him, he's not like, yo, this guy's built well. Pause. You know what I'm saying? But, like, he can also hit the three. He can get to the rim. He looks like he's a pretty good decision maker. I could see why the Raptors would take a flyer on this type of guy. And maybe Utah wasn't really, like, high on him because he came over in the Colin Sexton trade, because I think it was Cleveland that actually drafted Ochai Agbaji, and then they traded Sexton and then blah, 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 right? So maybe they tried to develop him, but they just didn't do the work to be like, okay, this is going to be one of our guys. And Utah kind of went a little bit young, but then they also had like some other veteran guys that were taking up minutes, like a Jordan Clarkson or whatever, right? And Lauri Markkanen was starting to make his mark last year. And I'm interested to see what Ochai Agbaji can actually bring to the Raptors, right? So with these two guys out, Kira Lewis Jr. wasn't playing, Otto Porter Jr. wasn't playing, and now you're bringing in two guys that are going to play, right? You're bringing in Kelly Olynk and Ochai Agbaji. Like, I hope you play these guys. It's not that we even really need to play Kelly Olynk like that, but we will, because we know the type of minutes that Thad Young has been playing recently. Right? I think he played like 15 or 16 straight games. And this is a guy that's like in his, I don't know, 18th NBA season or something. And he's been more so like a bench warmer the last couple of years. He just come in and play spot minutes here and there, right? But we've been relying on him heavily when Pirtle was injured. And now with Porter out, and we moved on from Christian Coloco, and for whatever reason we weren't giving Chris Boucher minutes, and Precious Achiuwa was out of here. So like Thad Young has been playing minutes. So let's get into the next trade, because Thad Young is now out of here, right? He is no longer with the Toronto Raptors. And really though, like, I appreciate Thad Young, man. He was literally a pro's pro, dog. For all the things I just said, this guy was warming up the bench. And then all of a sudden, you're just playing starters minutes and all these types of things. And I thought he played quite well based on the limitations, age, and all those types of things. Like, we know he's not a dominant rebounder and all those types of things. So based on who we know Thad Young to be as a player, I thought that he played pretty well in those little 15 games or whatever it was for the Raptors where we needed him out of necessity. But he is now out of here, along with Dennis Schroder, the heart and soul of the Raptors fan base. Dennis Schroder. Now I'm bugging, yo. I know. Listen, man, Dennis got a lot of flack here in Toronto, man. But he is now gone, along with Thad Young. And the Raptors traded for Spencer Dinwiddie, who we are now waiving, right? Because Dinwiddie had like a part of his contract where if he played so many games, I think he played 50 games or something, then he got a bonus incentive of $1.5 million. But obviously what the Raptors are doing here is they are clearing cap space. Like, this type of move is a cap space move. Straight up and down, yo. Right? It's really about Dennis Schroder, who actually had a 2-year contract that he signed in the offseason with the Raptors, and Thad Young, who was already expiring. And we're going to look at those, we're going to look at salaries and stuff in just a moment. But just from a pure basketball perspective, Dennis Schroder is now off the books, right, going into the offseason. Thad Young is now off the books going into the offseason. And we're waiving Spencer Dinwiddie. So literally 3 players where you just cleared up cap space going into the offseason. Now, from a basketball perspective, again, Thad Young, appreciate everything he did for us. But, I thought that he would be a throw-in in a trade somewhere to match up salaries, as long as the Raptors were able to grab another big, which we did, right? If somehow we weren't able to get another big and we still sent Thad Young out of here, we would have been in major problems, major trouble at the big spot, all right? But I like where we sit right now with Pirtle and Olynk, okay? So Thad Young's out of here. Appreciate you. Dennis Schroder, okay? This is a conversation that I want to have, all right? And give my perspective on what I think is popping here, okay? Okay, so Dennis Schroder got signed to be the starting point guard for the Raptors, all right? And I don't know if that was literally the right move. Like, for years, before I started this podcast, I was saying, I'm like, yo, Dennis Schroder, the Raptors should sign him as a backup point guard. I've always said this for like the last 2 years. I promise, no lies. I'm like, yo, sign this guy as a backup point guard. Then he became available in the last offseason. Fred VanVleet dipped, and now they sold to him to come to Toronto to be a starter. Listen, man, I'm not sure how that conversation went, but the conversation literally should be, man, it's hard to say it literally should be because we have Pascal, OG, the Raptors made a trade for Pirtle, so they obviously thought that they could contend this year. They just needed a point guard and, you know, some development from some other players, and it didn't work out that way, right? But, like, I thought the conversation should be, like, we need you to come in and be, like, a steadying presence, right? Like, you gotta, like, massage the verbiage around that. You can't just be like, yo, you're gonna be our starter the next 2 years. Like, I know sometimes you gotta say what you gotta say in order to get what you want, but like I don't know, man. Like, that's not, I don't feel like that's good business for the Raptors, yo. I don't feel like that's good business by the Raptors. But nevertheless, I believe it happened. I heard some reports saying that that's what it was too. And to be honest with you, I don't think Dennis Schroder played bad for the Raptors, right? I don't think he played bad at all by any stretch. My problem has always been, and I maintain this, is that you're asking Dennis to do something that you shouldn't be asking Dennis to do. We should have never asked him to be like the starting point guard. Like, yo, this is your job. This is your team. Like, none of that, bro. You know what I'm saying? And Coach Darko, I thought, was putting the ball in Dennis's hand quite a bit, even when Pascal and Scottie were on the team. And I feel like that was part of it in terms of why this team, why Pascal Siakam and Scottie Barnes got off to slow starts playing together, right? Because we know Scottie Barnes came out the gate blistering, guy. Blistering. He came out looking like all NBA if he was able to keep that type of stuff up, all right? But obviously, he's regressed a little bit to the means. He's still been a lot better than what he was last year. And now Scottie Barnes is an all-star also, right? But Dennis Schroder, once we made the trade for IQ and Dennis Schroder moved into the backup role, I thought that that was like a perfect role for Dennis Schroder, because that is always where I have seen him, as a backup, veteran, steady point guard who can also come in and play starters minutes if need be from game to game, whatever, right? When you're in a crunch, maybe injuries, those types of things. He's a good, valuable asset to have on your team. But the Raptors have clearly moved on in a different direction, and they really don't want the distraction of Dennis feeling like, yo, like, I'm not happy with coming off the bench, which is why when you hear Bobby Webster talk yesterday, he's like talking about guys that want to be here. So I don't know if that's a subtle shot at Dennis Schroder being like, yo, man, you don't want to be here? Then, yo, ship out. But, yo, I'm just like speculating at this point, right? I really don't know what's going on in Bobby Webster's head in terms of who that comment is meant for on the flip side. We know that he thinks Kelly Olynk wants to be here in Toronto, right? We know that Agbaji has a chance to feel like maybe he wants to be here in Toronto because you have Gradey Dick here and you have similar like come-ups in terms of college to NBA, right? So you get two players that you think may want to be here, and then whoever's out of here, like, I don't believe that's a thought that Thad Young, who's the ultimate professional, re-signed here in Toronto, by the way. And yeah, I just don't see it. Otto Porter Jr. maybe, but like at the same time, do you blame Otto Porter Jr.? Like, yo, I believe he's on his like last leg in the NBA, dog. He'll probably get bought out, and then he'll go join a team like, I don't know, a team that has a real chance to win, like a Denver or like a Clippers or like a Boston. Like that's what I believe, yo. And by the way, Boston actually sent out Dalano Banton in like the minutes after the trade deadline. I saw Dalano Banton got shipped out, yo. Yo, man. Canadian players, yo, big up Dalano Banton, man. Find your footing here in the NBA. That's another player that I would have loved to see Toronto continue to develop. Maybe he'll come back at some time. But yeah, man, hold your head, hold it down, bro. Anyways, I digress. that might have been for Dennis Schroder, yo, in terms of those comments, all right? So this is where we are as a Raptors roster right now, all right? This is what we got. Let's share this. Okay. Where am I at? Ah, my bad. Okay. Ochai Agbaji, Scottie Barnes, RJ Barrett, Chris Boucher. Another guy that was on the trade block that I don't know what is happening in terms of playing time for Chris Boucher. But I think a lot of us felt like he might have been traded yesterday at the trade deadline. I do believe that he is on an expiring contract as well. I'm just gonna take a quick look at this on the side. Actually, he is signed through next year, so he's not expiring at all. So I think, like, when the Raptors didn't make that move, that is probably just based on the fact that, hey, we still got this guy under contract. They could probably move him at the draft. They might be able to move him in the offseason in terms of a trade. They might be able to hang on to him next year and maybe make another run at it on the trade deadline. So it gives him a little flexibility, but he's still here. Now, Bruce Brown. Yo, everybody and their mama thought that he was gone, yo. They thought he was gone. Now, I did an episode talking about Bruce Brown a few episodes back, and I was talking about the team option in the contract, how it offers the Raptors so much flexibility. And this is literally what we just saw with the Bruce Brown not being traded, right? Now, this guy was getting, I mean, all these teams around the league just had interest. He was getting interest from teams all around the league, right? Because this guy's built up now as an NBA championship, a key piece on an NBA championship team that is not a superstar. He's a role player that plays a key role, right? Doing a lot of the dirty work, being able to get you some buckets here and there, like playing defense. So, yo, there was teams that wanted him. Now, obviously, the reason why we did not trade him was because obviously Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster did not get the types of offers that they wanted for Bruce Brown. Clearly, or else he would have been out of here, because this is a guy that now he's going to be stuck playing on a rebuilding team, 15 games under 500, where in a lot of probably front offices, a lot of teams' minds, like, he would be better served, like, playing on a championship team. Now, one of the problems with this trade deadline was that a lot of teams didn't have, like, the assets in order to make the trades that they really wanted to make, right? And the Raptors, there was reports out there saying that they wanted a first-round pick for Bruce Brown. And they obviously did not get the types of offers that they wanted. But the Raptors have flexibility now, because there's two things you could do. You could either come off the team option and just let him go in the offseason, right? Or you can trade him in the offseason, right? Opt into him, trade him in the draft, trade him. Like, yo, there's so many things that the Raptors can do just owning the team option on the Bruce Brown contract, all right? Even into next season, you opt him in, trade him sometime next season for whatever you're trying to get for him, right? Where teams may have more assets at that point. But I like the patience by Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster by not just jumping on anything, yo. Like, I am, like, totally scarred by the Vince Carter trade. Like, to me, that was, like, one of the worst trades of all time. Not even just in Raptors history, in, like, sports history, dog. It was just so bad. We literally got nothing in return for a guy that's supposed to be the next Michael Jordan, yo. And obviously he had some injuries here and there, but Vince Carter played, 21 seasons in the NBA? Bro, that's ridiculous, man. And then every time this guy came into Toronto with the Nets and all that type of thing, hitting game winners on us, sending us home in the playoffs, yo, Now, I'm not saying Bruce Brown's that type of guy, but like I like the patience when you hold the cards, right? There's no rush to go trade the guy when you have flexibility with the contract and with the player. All right. So that's another guy that stayed. Gradey Dick is still here. I told y'all we're not trading this guy. Y'all didn't believe in trading him. And over the last 2 games, actually, Gradey Dick has averaged like 14 points in the last 2 games, right? And he's shooting like 60% from the 3. So like Gradey Dick has been playing well the last 2 games. I thought he was probably like the best player in the Pelicans game. 9 for 16 from the floor. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Again, Gradey Dick been playing pretty well. I'm glad that he's still here. He's been playing. He's been showing some flashes recently, and that's kind of what you want to see from him, yo. And Javon Freeman Liberty is still here. It still says Christian Koloko, but he's waived. Jalen McDaniels, I thought would be traded out of here as well. Marquis Nowell. Now, this is a guy that I want to see at some point in the second half of this Raptors season going outside the All-Star break, right? Because when you think about like point guards now, right? So obviously you have Emmanuel Quickly. You have Scottie Barnes who can play the point. But other than that, like Agbaji's not really a point guard, right? He's more of like a combo type guard. We could use another point guard with the Raptors. I want to see what he got. Right? So Marquis Nowell, Jordan Nwora, Kelly Olynk, Jakob Poeltl, Otto Porter, Emmanuel Quickly, Garrett Temple, and Gary Trent Jr. So that is what our roster looks like nowadays after all of these trades, yo. OG Anunoby gone, Pascal Siakam gone. Like, mans are just kind of gone right now. You know what I'm saying? Precious Achiuwa gone, Malachi Flynn gone, Otto Porter Jr. gone, Dennis Schroder gone. The Raptors have done a lot in the last 6 weeks or so. Thad Young gone, right? So this team looks much different from the beginning of the season. Christian Koloko gone, right? That's like, what? That's like 8 players that are no longer with the Raptors who started the season with the Raptors. Like, that is a lot of turnover. That is a lot of turnover. So in terms of being like optimistic and stuff for the rest of the season, like there's been a lot going on with this Raptors team, man. There's been a lot going on with this Raptors team. And I think like the best thing we can hope for right now, because I'm telling you right now, okay, I may sound pessimistic or whatever, but we're not going to the playoffs. Call a spade a spade. We are not going to the playoffs. It's not happening, fam. It's not. So the best thing we can hope for is the lottery ping pong balls to bounce our way, and we somehow get into the top 6 and hold down our draft pick for this year, this upcoming offseason, right? Because it is top 6 protected. Everybody Raptors community knows it, right? We've been talking about this forever now. Not just me, but everybody. Media, content creators, fans of the team, mama, uncle, cousins, whoever, right? Everybody been talking about this. Raptors, because of the Jakob Poeltl trade away their first-round pick last year to the Spurs, but it's top 6 protected. Meaning, if the ping pong balls drop and the Raptors are at number 7, then that pick then goes to the Spurs. If it goes to 6 or lower, then the Raptors get to keep their pick, and that rolls over to next year, though, right? So I think that would be like the best case scenario for this team at this point, right? Let's see what some of these younger players got, and just try to develop at this point, right? And then once the offseason comes around now, like that's where some decisions are going to have to be made for the Raptors, So let's take a quick look at the Raptors their cap sheet right now. Now, I am not a capologist by any means, but I understand this a little bit, and I'm actually going to remove my logo because I feel like it's kind of in the way right now. So let's move that. Okay. So this is where we at now with salaries. Okay. So RJ Barrett, he's our highest paid player on the team. Okay. Bruce Brown, he has a team option at $23 million for next year. He's owed 22 this year, right? So next year, club option, 23 million. I just talked about it. Raptors can do a bunch with that, right? Jakob Poeltl, he's making 19 and a half for like the next 4 years, right? Now, Gary Trent Jr., interesting player here, okay? When you look at his contract right now, right? He exercised his player option in the offseason, this past offseason, and there was a lot of talks about an extension for him, but the Raptors have not yet pulled the trigger on an extension because Masai Ujiri said he wanted to see how players play within Darko's system, right? And a lot of fans thought that was like directed to Pascal directly, but really and truly, that was like a whole thing for the team, right? Because at that time we had mans that were just available for trades, possibly, right? Basically, it was like Scottie Barnes, and then everybody else was just like, okay, we'll see what happens with you almost, right? And I think maybe Jakob Poeltl might have been in on that also, and Gradey Dick. Nevertheless, this was another guy that we thought could be traded at the trade deadline for this very reason. Maybe you might be able to get a second-round pick or something of that nature. But the Raptors kept him. And recently, Gary Trent Jr. has been blazing the nets, like 60% from three, right? And this is something that we've been looking for him from the beginning of the season, but he got off to a slow start. So I don't know if this is the type of thing now. And I was saying this from before when he was struggling. I was like, yo, this system that Darko has is almost tailor-made for Gary Trent Jr. as a shooter, right? All the ball movement, getting mans open for open shots. Like, this should really be like, yo, lunchtime, dinner time for Gary Trent. You know what I'm saying? And the second half of the season so far, I guess the middle half of the season so far, he has looked like the type of player that we thought he could be in Darko's system. So it's very possible that maybe he wasn't even on the trade block at all from this offseason or from this trade deadline, because we're now starting to see things turn around for Gary Trent Jr. But nevertheless, he can decide whatever it is that he wants to do in the offseason because the Raptors didn't extend him. Right? We didn't extend him. So he can literally walk for nothing, right? And then you free up the 18 million in cap space. But I also don't like when people say stuff like that also, because what happens is mans are getting raises too, right? Mans are getting raises next year. So like, I don't know, man. Maybe they're not looking at the cap sheet and all that, or maybe they're taking everything into account. I don't know. Either way, money is freeing up based on the fact that Gary Trent Jr. may or may not be signed back with the Raptors. Right, and he's still a young player. I think he's only like 25 or something like that. Oh, shoot. Isn't it right here? No, I don't have his profile. But, oh, yeah, 25 years old. So he's still a really young player that if you're like developing that three to be more consistent, which it looks like it has been recently, we haven't seen like those crazy swings from Gary Trent Jr. where you go like 0 for whatever or 1 for 8, and then the next game you're like 7 for 8. They've been pretty consistent recently. So maybe this is a player that the Raptors hold on to, right? Just based on the fact that, hey, man, he's still young. We thought that he would be a good player in Darko's system. And, you know, he's been showing us some promise. So we'll see. Kelly Olynk, right? Like I was saying, he's on expiring. Right? He's age 32. Next year, he'll be 33. But this is a player that I expect the Raptors to re-sign in the offseason. Right? Just based on the fact that you made a trade for him. And in that trade, you also gave away a first-round pick where you brought back Agbaji as well. Right? Chris Boucher, we talked about him. Next year, he's still under contract for next year. Raptors could make a move. Scottie Barnes right now, still under his rookie skill contract. Everything's been exercised, but if the Raptors will probably extend him next season, right? Like, I know they exercised the club option, but like, don't wait for him to get to restricted free agency if he is literally the face of your franchise. You know what I'm saying? Now, maybe Scottie might just want to wait and maybe he might get all NBA next season. I'm not really sure how that works into how much they can sign him for based on those accolades. I think that might only like that like the accolades part might only be for players that are outside the rookie skill contracts. But anyways, I'm not too sure. But either way, we know that Scottie Barnes is going to be here. We know that Scottie Barnes is going to get a raise. Gradey Dick also on his rookie deal contract still. Obviously, he's a rookie this year. Jalen McDaniels. Let me take a quick look at this. Oh my God. Oh my God. Jalen McDaniels is signed through next year, y'all. Damn. Yo, man, I feel like a real jerk, man. I do. I feel like a real jerk, yo. Like, I just don't think he's like fits our team. All right. Now, sometimes I'm just a jerk and I say some jerk stuff. Like, I'm saying it in a nice way today. I just don't feel like he fits our team. Like, I just don't see what he does to enhance this team. Right. And maybe there's some things in the background and peripheral that I don't see. I'm not too sure. But I don't see it with him. I don't. But anyways, he's signed through next year. Emmanuel Quickly, he will need to be re-signed here, right? He's on his last year of the exercise rookie deal contract. So the Raptors freed up a lot of cap space. And we know that like a lot of that cap space is going to go to Emmanuel Quickly, right? You don't make that type of trade where you trade away OG Anunoby and those types of things just to, let Emmanuel Quickly play half a season and then let him dip. That is just whack, right? Because you also traded Dennis Schroder away and all types of things. So we know that Emmanuel Quickly will be signed through at some point next year in the offseason. Agbaji, again, he is on his rookie deal, right? Exercise through 25-26. So it'll be interesting to see. Oh, we didn't actually exercise. He's not actually exercised. So they exercised him for next season. I guess the Jazz did that. And not a bad thing for the Raptors. Let's see what he got. Jordan Nwora is definitely a free agent coming out of his rookie deal. I would like to see him come back. I feel like he's shown some good flashes and he might be a good player off the bench for us, So in terms of all that, like the Raptors can free up a lot of cap space in the offseason, right? Like we just did with the Thaddeus Youngs and the Dennis Schroeders and the Spencer Dinwiddies. Like we freed up salary. You know what I'm saying? So the Raptors can do some things now in the offseason. We know that Emmanuel Quickly will be signed. You have guys like Jordan Nwora that you're going to need to pay attention to. And, trading away Bruce Brown is going to free up even more cash for you if that's something that you want to do in the offseason or in the draft. I don't see the Raptors just declining the team option. I know I mentioned that as a potential option earlier, but I just do not see that. Like, that's bad business. If you knew that you were going to decline, then you should have took whatever offer that you got at the trade deadline. Because we know you got offers, bro. We know the Raptors got offers. So at this point, the total active cap is at 138 million. 20 million of it is dead cap. You got some cap holes over there. I think that's probably for Agbaji or something. Actually, we could actually see where that's coming from, actually. Let's take a quick look who the cap holds are. Will Barton is your cap hold? Oh, my God. Okay, so that's coming off the books. That'll free up more money. Like, that's crazy. That anyways, is what it is, right? Looks like we got some trade exceptions from Dennis Schroeder, Jalen McDaniels. We had one. I don't know if those are expired or not, but it's there. In terms of luxury tax, the Raptors are now outside of the luxury tax. So good for them, right? They are not above it. But yeah, basically, like the Raptors can free up some cap space with making some of those moves in the offseason. And from right now, from just a straight basketball perspective, I just want to see this team develop, man. Marquis Nowell, I would like to see him at some point. Javon Freeman Liberty, I'd like to see you at some point. You know? Like, we have an open roster space, too. So I'm not sure what the Raptors are going to do with that. But that is kind of the deal right now for the team. All right? Now, a couple of other quick things, topics that I just wanted to touch base on really quickly is, in fact, maybe I'll do this another episode, really, because we're now at like the 50-minute mark. So maybe I'll do another one with the other things that I wanted to talk about. But overall, I give this trade deadline probably a B grade, right? Just for the fact that you're able to free up cap space. Now you're not worried about signing Emmanuel quickly in the offseason, right? You're not worried about going into luxury tax and all that. The Bruce Brown trade, I think the best part of not trading, I guess the best part of Bruce Brown's situation was that the fact that we even traded for Bruce Brown to begin with, right? The trade for Pascal Siakam, we got Bruce Brown back. Like, I think that is the best part about it, because the Raptors can be patient with it, and they didn't just take a deal just to take a deal, right? And he's going to bring some value to this team in terms of bringing in not really a veteran, but he's kind of a veteran, but he has championship experience. So yeah, I'm not mad at it, right? Dennis Schroder now out of here, so potentially moving on from a guy that didn't want to be here in the first place. And to be honest with you, I don't blame him, yo. If the Raptors front office sold Dennis on being the starter for this team, then they're not starting him. I could see where he might be a little bit cheese, but I would also expect you to be more professional if you felt that way, right? Like that information shouldn't have got out to the public, however it got out to the public, right? And Agbaji, like, we'll see what he can do, right? I think based on where the Raptors may have been picking in the draft, they feel like Agbaji offers higher upside. And you get to, like, kind of see what he got this year, in a year where you're actually, like, developing, right? Because you never know next year. You never know next year. All of a sudden, IQ, Barrett, and Scottie Barnes and Pirtle, like, these guys are just playing well together. You have Kelly Olynk coming in off the bench. Maybe Marquis Nowell takes a step. Now, I know a lot of people are like, why does this guy keep talking about Marquis Nowell? Yo, I think he's having a really good season in the Raptors 905, even though the Raptors 905 not having a good season. And I just want to see what he has here with the big squad, yo. So anyways, you have some pieces. The Jordan Nwaras could be a player for you off the bench. Like, you have some pieces here that you have to work with. And overall, I'm giving the Raptors a B at the trade deadline, right? Because there was nothing just egregious that happened that should have happened, or something egregious that happened that didn't happen that should have happened. It was just kind of steady. You free up some money off the books. You bring in a young player. You shore up your bench with a guy that wants to be here. You brought in guys that have connections to players that are already here on the team. You sent out some aging guys like a Thad Young and an Otto Porter who really weren't giving you that much from a basketball perspective, so you got younger. Like, the Raptors did not bad at this trade deadline. Not great, but there's the potential for it to be great if, maybe next year's draft is just really weak and Agbaji takes a step, So we'll have to see in terms of how things shape up with that. And yeah, tonight we got the Rockets. Like, I don't know, last time the Rockets slapped us, yo. So the Raptors, you're at home. No Fred VanVleet. I heard he's not playing, so it is what it is. But really and truly, like, we could give Fred his flowers another day, yo. The Raptors need to figure out how to play better basketball now that the trade deadline has come and gone. Right? Because I wasn't feeling the way that we were playing prior to that. And I know, like, road trips and stuff are hard. We basically had like 2 6-game road trips, which is just insane, right? In January, February. So, I don't know. Raptors, I just want to see y'all like play some good basketball tonight against the Rockets. All right. So yeah, man, that is it for today, episode 49. So if you made it to the end of this video, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. And if you're not subbed, please sub up, like, share, comment down below. I would love to hear from you. And, you know, I'm down to engage, talk whatever you want to talk about. Let's get it popping. I'm with it. Yo, subscribe to the channel. You feel me? So, one other act of business before I get out of here, okay? We have a winner for the Raptors Flex Plus Toque. Christopher Lewis 3704 is the winner. So I will be linking up with him and getting him this bad boy. Respect to you, my guy. Appreciate you. Love you. Appreciate you for supporting the channel any which way you can. And I appreciate everybody out there for supporting the channel, man. Continue to share. All right, I'm working on a few things. As always, I got some things going on in the background. I don't know if y'all like the border I got going on right now. Is that like, all right, trying some new stuff. But yeah, that is it for today. So yeah, man, you know the flex, and it's me, guy.